are you?
We are Venom.
Hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan,
And I'm Devon.
I have a special guest joining me today because Ryan did not go see this movie. Lucky bastard, but we both did. So joining me from Los Angeles, California, is my friend Devon.
Hey everyone, I'm Devon.
So Devon's been on the show before. We talked about Ready Player One. I have him on webcam today, so I'm actually gonna make it big so I can actually see him. So we talked about Ready Player One a few months ago, and Devon reached out about wanting to come back. So we started talking about Venom, and I was like, hey, let's just do a podcast. So here we are.
Absolutely.
So, Venom is a thing that happened.
It was a movie we definitely both saw. Oh my gosh.
So a little bit of backstory about how I saw Venom. I think I mentioned in the Spider-Man 3 podcast that went up earlier this week. Ryan and I did a 72-hour film fest over the weekend, and we filmed all day Friday and then wrapped around 8 o'clock. And we're all like, well, we're done now. Do we want to go get food? Or do we want to all go our separate ways? Or do we want to go see Venom? And the choice was made, let's all go see Venom. So we all went to Hagerstown, Maryland to see Venom at 10 o'clock at night. And
Arguably food for the soul.
Yes. The best part of my movie-going experience was the Cheetos popcorn that I got at the movie theater. Because it has Cheetos in it. I just thought it had the seasoning, but no, there were
Oh no, there's actually
Cheetos.
whole Cheetos in the popcorn?
No, they're warm because they keep it in a warmer.
Oh my gosh.
So it was warm Cheetos. So they like really melted in your mouth.
What have I been missing? This is amazing.
I know. Like, let's just spend the rest of the podcast talking about Cheetos.
We really should
popcorn.
just talk about these Cheetos though, for real.
But yeah, we went, and I was kind of a dick to everyone else in the theater when I saw it, because we kept making jokes. Like, we were laughing at it because there were things in this movie that were so bad we couldn't help but laugh or comment on it. There's one thing that I leaned over and commented on that just made my buddy Will and Ed laugh. But I'll get into that. So
I can't wait to hear about it because mine was exactly the same. So like I was in a crowded theater in City Walk by Universal in Los Angeles, and there were parts of it that I guess were supposed to be cool or actiony that the whole audience just lost it.
yeah.
So I'm excited to see if like our parts line up.
Yeah. So this movie is supposed to be the start of the Sony universe of Marvel characters, which just sounds god awful.
Oh my gosh, I know.
So they already canceled the Black Cat Silver Sable movie and split it into two movies, which
Wait,
makes
they didn't
more
cancel it?
sense.
They doubled down on it?
They're like, well, we're not going to put them together. We're going to split them up first and then maybe.
Oh no.
And beyond that, I don't know what. Oh, they're supposed to be doing a Morbius movie with Jared Leto.
Are they really?
Supposedly, because he hasn't ruined enough superhero characters. But yeah, this is supposed to be the start of that universe, the Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man.
That's so weird.
So I don't know who J. Jonah Jameson wants pictures of in this universe. Probably not his dead son.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Okay, so the movie opens with a spaceship crashing to Earth, and that's when you get the only other reference to the Spider-Man universe is Jameson is one of the astronauts that dies.
Right, and he dies like right away. Which didn't that happen in that old-timey 1990s Spider-Man TV show? Like, isn't that how he gets it in the 90s too?
Yeah, I think that's how he gets it in the 90s show. That's how Peter Parker gets the Spider-Man suit.
Yes, like I was a little pumped for that. Like that started off pretty strong because like I remember like taping over my dad's shows to record like that Spider-Man episode when I was a kid.
That show was how I was introduced to Spider-Man. Like I love that Spider-Man. I love that Venom. That's how I learned about Kingpin, Daredevil, pretty much all the Marvel characters.
Right.
Even the X-Men, because I never watched the 90s X-Men cartoon.
Oh no?
I for some reason I never watched that one. It was either on too late on Saturday mornings for me, or I just didn't really care. Like I like the Spider-Man crossover.
Yeah.
with that, but I never really got into the show. I watched it later on a little bit, but never really went hardcore into it.
Oh, it had like the best theme song. That was the only reason I watched it, was for the theme song.
I like the theme song. I always turned it off after the theme song for some reason.
Good.
But I was more of a Power Rangers kid, so
I get that.
What was I going to say?
So I mean, you said that was one of two Spider-Man references?
No, I think that was the only one. I think that was the only. They talked about New York a little bit, but they never mentioned the Daily Bugle.
No, they just had like MSNBC ripoff that they talked about a lot.
Okay, let's talk about the Brock report, or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah, the Brock report.
Oh my God, that's such a one of my biggest problems, and we're going to just get into spoilers for this movie. So
okay.
I think I say, if you don't want spoilers, I'll just flat out say I did not like this movie.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I didn't like it either. I mean, there were parts of it that I thought were very cool, and parts that the comic book nerd in me loved, but overall, I didn't love it.
Yeah, the best scene that I like, the scene that I liked the most in this movie was the fight in his apartment, where Venom's starting to take over his body. He doesn't know what's going on when the guys come in.
That part was cool, but there's some really cringy things in it.
Yeah, but that's in the trailer too, so it's not like anything special that you need to go see the movie for. Without getting into spoilers, I will say I wish the post-credit scene was just the movie.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, so that's it for spoiler free. If you want to go see Venom, rethink your life. But we're going to get into spoilers. So the way they introduce Eddie Brock in this, they don't give you anything to know who this guy is. It's just like, oh, he's a reporter. He's dating Michelle Williams. That is it.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of attitude with the guy at the front desk, but no actual nothing that makes me want to care for this reporter.
Right, and like his attitude wasn't even like great. Like he parked in the wrong spot and then was kind of a dick to the guy in the front. Yeah. Like the guy in the front of the thing, and then like that's like your likable moment for him. Like you're supposed to be right with him then.
Yeah, like he cares about that guy's kid. I don't care.
Right.
Like that's not a character. Like Spider-Man 3 does a better job of introducing Peter Parker in that movie, and right away this guy's an asshole now.
How does it introduce Peter Parker? I forget.
Because it's him just like, hey, I'm Spider-Man. Everything's going great, and I don't care about MJ anymore. Like at least there, this is getting to like Spider-Man's getting to his head. He's getting cocky. I don't like this.
Right.
But in this, it's like, oh, I guess this guy is a reporter, and that's all I need to know.
Right. I mean, his personality is kind of like just a series of like one-liners for a while.
Yeah. And then he looks at his fiance's email, and it's like, oh, that seems about right for this character I know nothing about. Like, right. He is a sleazebag. Like, why would I care? Like, why do I care about this guy?
They kind of introduce him like as a dick. Like, he immediately uses his fiance and is like, I'm just going to comb through her private emails. This is confidential on every page. It's probably okay.
Yeah. I mean, she won't mind. She definitely won't get fired for this thing I'm about to do.
But he's a reporter. That's what they do. They report.
Yeah. But, and then the movie, like, he gets her fired after so they introduced the bad guy. This is the scene I was talking about.
Oh yeah.
So the bad guy is doing the tour for this field trip, and this little girl raises her hand to ask a question, and all the other kids laugh at her because she's asking a question. And he does this whole speech about it's okay to ask questions. Asking questions advances us as a society. Come here, little girl. Have this pin. Okay, end of tour. I leaned over to my buddy Will. I was like, but what was her question?
Right,
he never answered it.
What if it was like, where's the bathroom?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know what her question was, and that bugs me to no end. That he goes on a speech about questions are important, but I'm not going to answer yours.
Right. And then he makes her in charge of the field trip for some reason.
From that point on, I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. Like, I didn't know up to that point. Like, maybe it'll get better. It's like, nope, this is a horrible screenplay. My buddy Will put it. It's like they wrote the screenplay in 2003 and just went with that.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, screenplay 2003. All these outdated it seems like it's a superhero movie from the early 2000s.
But it really does, though. Like, with all of the tropes they add and all of, like, the shitty dialogue, like, it would have fit in perfectly then.
The only way it would be more 2003 is if instead of Eminem at the end, they just had Avril Lavigne doing a song or Nickelback.
Arguably, that would have been better.
Yeah. Instead of Eminem just making Marvel references, which is all that song is.
I'm not going to lie, though. I kind of loved it in the worst possible way. I love it in the same way that I love the Spaceballs theme song. Where, like, it's so bad, but you're like, all right, they made a song for the movie.
Yeah.
So can we talk about a little bit, you had mentioned that he interviews Bad Guy, or that Eddie Brock interviews Bad Guy.
Yes.
Can we talk for a second about Tom Hardy in that scene? So they do...
Sure.
They do West Wing style interview where they're literally just like backing up the camera and they're walking towards it. And the entire time, Tom Hardy will not stop touching his face. And I get that he's supposed to be nervous, but the first half of the interview is literally just him going, okay, so so you run a company and the company does things. And it's like he's giving himself a facial massage until he gets to the, did you know you kill people? I get that you want to portray nervous energy, but it looks like you're trying to gouge your own eyes out. It bothered me so much.
My theory on why this was taken from an R rating to PG-13 is that Eddie Brock was on pills.
Oh.
And that would explain a lot of his nervous tics.
Oh my God, it would.
And I think it gets worse after they do the time jump. So I think his addiction would have gotten worse. And I think if you're going to do a PG-13 movie, you can't have somebody addicted to pills.
No, I didn't even think about that. That would have been brilliant.
Yeah, that's what I almost told you that last night for you to go into it with that, but I was like, no, I'll hold on to it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did. That was good.
Almost feels like what's going on there because he has so many weird nervous tics going on.
Yes.
Like he's limping in the first act of this movie for no reason.
That's right, he is.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. And Tom Hardy's a good actor. You and I have seen him act in person.
Right, absolutely have, yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know Devon and I, we were in Pittsburgh for The Dark Knight Rises when they'd shot the football scene. So when Bane comes out and says, take control of your city.
Yeah.
Like we were there for that. And like Tom Hardy, like with that headset that just went through the whole stadium, he controlled that stadium. Like it was terrifying.
No,
he can act.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just in Christopher Nolan stuff. I'm beginning to suspect that. But there's no reason for the things that he's doing. If they were justified in the screenplay early on, which I think that's this movie's problem. Yeah. You got this great cast with Tom Hardy and Michelle Williams and the guy from Rogue One, who's the bad guy. Like you got this good cast, but the movie's not there. So my theory is something changed between them signing on and what we saw that dramatically changed the movie. Because even Tom Hardy has come out and said his favorite scenes were cut from this movie.
Yeah, how much did they actually cut from the movie? Like I heard it was a bunch.
I don't know, but the rumor is there will be an R-rated version with like the Blu-ray.
Interesting.
But I know Kevin Smith did some DVD extras for the movie, and they told him some stuff that happens, and he got excited for it. And looking back, I don't know what he got excited about besides maybe She-Venom.
She-Venom. That's right. Oh gosh. That kiss hurt. It was so weird. It was so weird. I mean, so
it would have
to like put context behind it. At one point, Michelle Williams gets the symbiote, and I mean, Venom basically attaches himself to her and needs to go find Tom Hardy. She saves Tom Hardy from getting killed because Villain's doing overlong villain speech. And then to transfer symbiote over to Tom Hardy, they kiss Tom Hardy, and it transfers through a kiss. It was so awful. I hated every bit of it.
Yeah,
I don't know, like
I would have much rather the little dog be the one saving him. Like if she just carried the Venom dog, and then the dog is just killing these people and then like eating their heads.
It would have been so cute. I would have loved everything about that. But like Can we talk about Venom giving relationship advice for a second? Because he gives a lot of it.
Okay, yeah, let's just talk about Venom a little bit. So
Okay.
Venom is his own character besides Eddie Brock. And the trailers make it look like they're working together a lot more. Like the whole end scene in the bodega with like a turd in the wind. like that whole scene, like that's in the trailer. So that makes you think that they're actually working together because that's when they're like, we are Venom. But that's not how it is. Like the whole movie, it's Eddie Brock and Venom in one body. So you hear the Venom voice as his own character, and then Eddie, like he's talking to him. And my biggest problem with the Venom character is he decides that he wants to stay on Earth. And the only reason I can think that he wants to stay on Earth is because he had cold tater tots.
Right. No, I mean, at one point, Eddie Brock even goes, Venom, what changed your mind about not wanting to destroy Earth? Why do you want to stay here now? And Venom just goes, you did, Eddie Brock. And it's like, why? Like, what did he do? Was it the cold tater tots, really?
Did he really like that kiss?
Right. He saw pretty lights on top of that one building and went, I guess your world's not that bad. It'll be a shame to watch it burn. But that doesn't, that's not a reason.
Maybe he just likes killing people.
I mean, I think really it was just they needed a script reason for the bad guy to be the bad guy. Because if you think about it, Venom's plan in the first third of the movie is the exact same as the bad guy's plan at the end of the movie. They're identical. And then they needed a reason to switch it because they both wanted to go into space and get the symbiotes to come back down to Earth and ruin them. And that's what Venom said he wanted, and then that's what was his name? Riot. That's what Riot said he wanted.
Yeah.
And they just needed Venom to change his mind about something.
Yeah, it's just bad. It just the reasons behind anything in this movie just don't add up. And then you have the relationship with Michelle Williams, who moves on and has a new boyfriend living with her in 6 months. Like, that's a little quick.
And by the way, boyfriend is totally cool with X being around all the time now. And is super supportive of everything about X, which I don't.
Well, I think that might just be because he's a doctor and he seems to be sick. And this is also where my pill theory pops in because
I like that.
If he knows he had, that would explain why he's so concerned. Because if he knows that he has a pill issue, then he's going to try to help him. Like, that's just the doctor being the doctor.
I mean, that totally makes sense because otherwise he's literally just above all just good guy. He's just literal best dude in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Just cool with Eddie Brock being around, cool with healing him, cool with thrusting himself in the middle of this weird thing that's going on for no reason at all other than I'm good.
Cool guy. Cool with the black goo that just comes out of Eddie near the MRI machine.
Right. He's now just hanging out by the MRI machine. He's like, whatever.
Yeah. Which, okay, let's lock it in a room with vents and hope that it doesn't go up the vents.
Right, that's the thing is they locked it in there and it started going through the air vent and I go, of course MRI rooms aren't airtight. Why would anyone think they are?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's so many logic issues in this movie. Why, when the homeless woman who has the Venom suit right before Eddie does, why is she in a cold room and nobody else is?
That's a good point too. Because wasn't one of the rooms set to 160 or something? They were cooking one of the guys.
They were cooking one of the guys. Maybe she was getting a fever, so they made her cold. But that's a death I didn't care about.
No.
She has one scene with Eddie. If you maybe show her being recruited, then maybe. But then it's just Eddie, I know you. Let me out. No, I don't care. There's no chance to get to know any of the characters you're supposed to care about at all.
The one thing I loved about her scene, though, the first one where he first meets her, is you can tell it was kind of a ham-fisted way almost for them to be deep down, Eddie Brock's a good guy. He's an asshole with a heart of gold. Because he gave that homeless woman $20 and she didn't even have to sing. And it's it just seems so forced. You need to care about these two characters right now because we don't know how else to do this.
Here's my other problem. Why does he have $20 when it's established in the next scene he can't find work? He's looking at dishwasher jobs.
That's a really good point.
if he has the money to just throw around to homeless people, why is he circling dishwasher job ads in the newspaper?
Right.
And why is he using a newspaper to find jobs in 2018?
I mean, that's also a good point. I mean, are we to assume that he just was jobless for 6 months in San Francisco and was okay with holding up an apartment and all of the associated bills? Like, is that
Yeah,
what we're
I mean,
looking for?
I guess he had savings. I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe
But, like,
he's
that's not super well.
he didn't sell it. He didn't sell his motorcycle. Like, he still has that.
Yeah, he still had that.
I don't know. Maybe he comes from a wealthy family.
He has to.
Maybe he was injured before the movie and like won a lawsuit, and that's why he has all this money.
And is addicted to pain pills, apparently.
Pain pills and has a limp. Like,
That would work
that's
so well.
we're writing such a better Venom movie than what we got.
We should just do the next Venom movie.
Yeah, and our song will be the Weird Al version of Dust in the Wind,
Called?
Turd in the Wind.
Absolutely. It's so bad. Also, I looked up how to submit songs to Weird Al this morning.
Yeah.
He has his own FAQ. Turns out you cannot submit songs to Weird Al, which is right
Yeah.
under the question, is Weird Al vegetarian?
Yeah.
Because those are...
Well, I made that joke last night when I texted you because that seems to be a sitcom trope every time Weird Al shows up.
Oh, really?
Like How I Met Your Mother did the joke where Ted Mosby sent him songs.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then the Simpsons did it too because Homer's like, which one was better? Leaving La Vida, what was it? He like 2 songs about pizza, and Weird Al's like, they honestly they were both quite the same. Homer, and Homer's like, yeah, just like you and Alan Sherman.
Oh, no. Oh, I like that one.
But yeah, that just seems to be like a sitcom trope where the guy submits songs to Weird Al for some reason.
Absolutely. But I'm totally that guy. Like, if it was ever going to be like a sitcom trope of me, it would be that.
I mean, I think the internet's just become, I'm going to make my own version of this Weird Al song.
That's a good point too. Yeah.
So we could also do that because I know plenty of musicians who can play Dust in the Wind.
Oh, well, yes, we need to do this.
Yes. So next time you're in PA, we will definitely do this.
Oh, absolutely.
We just need to get a black Venom suit.
I think we can get one. I think that's not going to be the hardest part of this.
So, is this movie just for teenagers?
That's a really good question. I don't know, because I don't know who this movie's for, because I was thinking about it. Like, have always been a huge Venom fan. Always.
Yes.
Like, he was my favorite bad guy. Spider-Man was my favorite good guy. I didn't love it, and it didn't seem like it was for me. Like, they added enough. Like, the storyline in general is kind of from a comic book, like from a story arc from the 90s, which is kind of cool, and I like that. But I didn't feel like it was for me. Do you think teenagers would love this? Like,
somebody has to be liking it because the critics hate it, but if you look on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a fresh from the fans.
Does it really?
The review, like, it's the last I looked, it had like a 33 Metacritic on IMDb. I'm going to look it up quick.
Sure.
But it was like a 7.1 user rating.
Wow.
So I don't know what is going on with it. Yeah, 7.1 right now, and then Metascore for the critics is 35. So it's a big divide between fans and the critics. And the problem with it is because the fans love it, they're going to make more. Like, this didn't kill that Spider-Man universe. Like, Sony is not going to, like, my hope was that this movie would fail, which it's not. And then Sony would give more control of the Spider-Man characters to Marvel, like they did, like they loaned Spider-Man out,
which would be.
But I don't think that's happening now. But let's read some reviews.
Oh, good.
9 out of 10, very fun movie. I don't know what's going on with all the negative reviews. People are really hard to please. I went to see that movie without any real expectations, though I thoroughly really enjoyed it. Okay, whatever. Yeah. 9 out of 10, not your typical Marvel movie, but I loved it. I hope they go for an R rating on the second movie, though. 10 out of 10. Wow. First of all, I've just watched the movie a couple of hours ago, and this person can't spell. I've been reading a few reviews, and I must have been watching a different movie because I absolutely loved it. Ignore the critics. good intro for Venom, but now I want more. 6 out of 10, not perfect, but not as terrible as some make it out to be. But it is.
But it kind of is. Like, I mean, I understand going to movies that are just fun and just mindless, and they don't all need to be complete works of art. But if I'm halfway through the movie and go, I don't know if I love this main character, I think that's a problem, right?
Yeah, I have to be able to at least know who this character is on a deeper level than just, oh, I miss my girlfriend. I don't have a job.
Right.
Like,
Well, and that's the thing is I understand the problem in having a bad guy, like a movie about a bad guy, because it could really easily become something where you just hate Eddie Brock, you hate Venom, you don't want any of them to succeed, and then that makes that final battle have absolutely no stakes because you don't care about them at all. Sure, I can get that. But they added so many little things in it that could have been really cool plot threads. Like, there was a point where Venom said, like, basically Eddie Brock is a hostage. He's a really good, like, match for him. Venom has all of these really evil plans, and Eddie Brock is just along for the ride because he's a good match. That would have been such a cool story if it was just Eddie dealing with the fact that he's a hostage, or, like, that dynamic working out. But it wasn't even that.
Yeah. And like the whole, oh, I'm killing you from the inside, like that's just kind of dropped. He's like, oh, I guess I'll stop doing that.
Right, or is he
or is he still killing him?
He atrophied his heart, and then like after he left him, Eddie Brock was like, yeah, I'm dying, so it doesn't matter what you do to me. And then I guess he's fine now.
Yeah. Maybe Venom's keeping him alive now. I don't know.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, so here comes.
I mean, wouldn't a pill addiction also do that to your heart?
That it absolutely would, which is a better theory.
Saying.
It's a much better theory.
It's a much better movie.
Yes, it's oh my god. Well, and like so to be super nerd for a second, there was a series of comics on Venom in the early 2000s, and one of the and it kind of played off of this like eating him from the inside kind of thing. And the whole reason that Venom ended up choosing Eddie Brock was because Eddie Brock had cancer and was dying from cancer, and that Venom had to eat something from humans in order to survive, so he was eating Eddie Brock's cancerous cells. So it gave more of a motivation and more of a symbiotic relationship between the two. And I thought that was so cool. Maybe not worth bringing up in the movie, but it would have been such a cool aspect of it. Like, had they talked about why he picked Eddie Brock more than, yeah, he's a good match.
Yeah. Yeah, that would make a lot more sense. I also like the Flash Thompson version of the Venom character that that joined the Guardians of the Galaxy a few years ago. Like, I would love to see that movie.
Right.
Like, my hope was that they could bring Venom into the MCU and have him join the Guardians. Like that, like with whatever's going on with that series, it's probably going to need another big tough guy, because I don't think Dave Bautista's sticking around without James Gunn.
No, so, and that makes me sad.
It does, but it's a whole mess.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I did like that Venom did was it didn't even acknowledge Spider-Man. It's set in San Francisco. They don't even say, hey, there's a spider-based superhero who might be pissed off that you're doing things. They just completely ignore it. It's not a problem, and I like that.
If you're going to set up a universe without Spider-Man, then you have to do that.
Yeah.
Because if they made reference to him, then it's just like, okay, well, then he has to fight him at some point in the next movie, right?
Right.
But I don't know how you can do a whole, like, how do you do a Morbius movie without Spider-Man?
I honestly don't know.
Like, in the Black Cat, so she's just going to be a cat burglar? Like,
right, just...
Because the cat-based superhero / villain movie standalone worked so well before with Halle Berry and Catwoman.
I mean, it wasn't that bad.
I never saw it. So.
Oh, it was bad. It was as bad as you think it's going to be.
Yeah. But janitor there?
What's up?
Is there a janitor there?
Yeah.
It sounds like someone's taking the trash out. All right. So yeah, it would have been cool to see more of the symbiotes do something besides just die.
Yes. I mean, I think the one thing I didn't like was that, basically the design of the main, like, bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Was exactly the same as the design of Venom. So like you saw the bad guy in the trailer. I didn't know that was the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know that I was looking at two different characters. I thought I was looking at one cool one, and the bad guy would be.
Yeah, one was Venom's black with a little bit of white/gray mixed in there, and then the other guy's just gray. And it's kind of hard to tell which was which.
It kind of was, and I didn't love that about it.
Yeah, it would have been cool if he was like a blue symbiote, or make Venom black and blue, kind of like he was in the '90s cartoon.
Right. I mean, from what we talked about, like they come in all colors. Literally,
Yeah.
like there's a purple one, there's a yellow one. Like they could have gone anywhere with this, not almost identical to him.
Yeah, which was disappointing. But I kind of did like how Riot had to make his way slowly across the globe to get to San Francisco.
I mean, that was cool. And he kept picking people that you felt really bad about.
Yeah.
Which,
I mean, okay, I was like, okay, they're going to kill this little girl now. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
Like-
and it made him bad. You didn't
Yeah.
like him for that.
Yeah. What else was I going to say? Oh, so let's talk about the action in this movie, because I have some really big issues with the way it was cut together.
Okay.
It did this thing that action movies are known to do more often than not these days, which is in the span of 30 seconds during the chase scene when he's on his motorcycle.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there were about 100 cuts in different angles.
I didn't even notice that.
It was so hard for me to follow, because I was like, okay, so they're going left to right, and now they're going up screen. Now it was just like, it was very hard. It looked like they just dragged the clips into the premiere and just scrambled them around. It was like, okay, that's the chase scene.
All I know about it is that there was the point when like the motorcycle like crested the hill and like he
Yes.
left it. The whole audience in my theater just laughed. They all lost it.
Yeah. I mean, that was in the trailer too, so it's not even like that was a surprise. Like I
Right.
knew that was coming.
But it was just so campy.
What the most the campiest part of that whole thing is, so he's being chased by these SUVs. The SUVs crash. He gets to the end of this chase, and then SUV just comes over with the bad guy, and he shoots him. Like, that made no sense to me at all. It's like, he just crashed. Like, I couldn't were there more than two SUVs? I guess so, but I couldn't tell because the way you cut it together.
It had to have been like sneaky going down the side street somewhere that like wasn't
Yeah.
in any of the cuts.
Or like a hover car that just avoided the whole thing and just came down.
Right.
Like, don't touch Lola.
Also, like, does this movie know what drones are? Because I mean, what were they doing? They were like flying, and then they would
Yeah.
hit something and then explode into blue fire, and like they're expensive. Drones are not cheap. Like,
Yeah.
that was like $900 per miss.
Okay, and I get this is the worst use of drones in a movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I don't know why all the fire was blue.
Right, but
Like,
it didn't
that-
affect him the same way red fire does.
Ah,
He didn't hurt the same way.
okay, I guess.
It's colder because blue.
Yeah. Isn't blue fire hotter
Yeah,
though?
don't worry about it.
Okay, Sony. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Okay, so they do. Okay, let's talk about She-Venom a little bit more.
Oh no.
That scene would have been a lot cooler if they actually showed her do anything besides kiss him.
I mean,
Because it's all just like from the trees above, and then she comes in, kisses him, and then that's it. Like if you want to if you want to be like, oh, we have a badass female in this movie, just show me the badass female.
Right,
Like,
absolutely.
don't like do it off screen. Like, haha, you thought you'd see this, but you didn't. This doesn't count.
although I did love her like I fight dirty moment where she was just turning the volume up on something. Like it was like the
Yeah.
least dramatic action ever, and she's like, I fight dirty too. It's like, stop it. No, you don't.
Yeah, I did like that they kept the sound waves are my kryptonite thing.
Oh yeah. I mean, I would have lost my mind if they didn't keep that.
But what I don't like is that they mentioned that it's their kryptonite. Like they flat out say kryptonite at one point, and I'm like, if it wasn't already done in Spider-Man 1, where Aunt May's like, you're not Superman, you know. Like, I might be able to forgive it, but the Spider-Man movies have already made Superman references. That one is like, if I was Warner Brothers, I'd be suing. Like, we own the rights to Kryptonite. Like, it's Krypton. Like,
right. I like to think that Justice League was the biggest movie of the year, and Tom Hardy had just seen it, and that's why he mentioned Kryptonite. Like,
was it even him that mentioned it, or was it?
I thought it was him.
It might have been. It was either him or Michelle Williams.
Maybe, but I just like to think that the Venom universe is a universe where the DCEU is doing well.
where Zack Snyder is still in charge.
Exactly.
Oh, I don't know if I want to live in that world or not.
It's a dark world, man. You got to get on board.
Well, since you brought up the DCEU, did you get the Aquaman trailer in front of this?
No, I didn't.
What trailers did you get? Anything good?
What did I get? No, because I don't remember any of them.
Okay.
End of the Spider-Verse. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that trailer for a minute. How excited are you for that movie?
I think
I'm beyond excited.
I am too. It looks so cool. John Mulaney.
John Mulaney. Oh yeah. We'll get to that, but like, I was on board for this movie from the get-go because like, oh, Miles Morales, something different.
Right.
This is cool. And they released the first trailer like back when Star Wars came out. So I was like, oh, okay. Right. And then Jake Johnson as Peter Parker is like, oh, okay, I'm more on board. And then this trailer opened up with Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And they showed the kiss. They showed the train scene from Spider-Man 2.
Yep.
They showed the car coming through the window. I was like, oh my God, take my money now.
Right. I love that. I love what they're doing with it.
Like, I don't know if it's supposed to be the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and they just couldn't get Tobey Maguire, or if they're just loosely basing it on all the Spider-Mans. But
I mean, whatever it is, I love it.
Yeah, I love it. Like, I cannot wait. And then you've got a great cast. You've got Haley Steinfeld as Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
John Mulaney as Spider-Ham,
which I love.
And I think they held this back in the trailer a little bit because it's going to steal the movie. Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man Noir.
That's who that is?
That's Nicolas Cage.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Like, I'm glad Nicolas Cage is getting all this superhero voice work because he was just Superman in Teen Titans Go to the movies.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
cool. I mean, I didn't see it, but I know he was in it.
That's interesting.
Which is like a cool reference because of Superman Lives. And I think in an interview somebody asked him if he still wanted to play Superman. He's like, no, but I think I'd make a good Lex Luthor.
Of course he would.
But I'd see that movie too. So maybe if they're doing like 20 Joker movies, maybe we'll get like 10 Lex Luthor movies. And so Nicolas Cage can have one, Michael Rosenbaum can have one, and they can just continue Smallville for a little bit.
Just everyone we've ever wanted. And
Kevin Spacey can go die in a ditch.
Aw.
Yeah, I mean, do we really feel bad for that joke? Like,
no. Don't feel bad.
No,
I support it.
Man, there's so many issues looking back at. Like, I can't watch Superman Returns as much as I like Brandon Routh and the score to that movie. Mm-hmm. Like, there were so many issues with it now because of Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor, and just the fact that it's directed by Bryan Singer.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But
that's awkward.
The other trailer that I got in front of this movie that I'm kind of surprised that I want to see is Bumblebee.
Oh, I did get that one.
Yeah, that looks like it's the best Transformers movie, and I haven't even seen it yet.
I haven't seen any of them, and I want to see this one.
Yeah, this one looks good. I like the first one. After that, it's just kind of meh.
Yeah.
I caught most of the first Mark Wahlberg one a few weeks ago at my... It wasn't bad. It was on like FX, so it kept getting commercial breaks, but Kelsey Grammer's the bad guy.
Great.
With Stanley Tucci, which is bizarre that those two, that's a weird pairing that I never thought would work, but it worked.
Yeah, I love that.
Because it's just like Kelsey Grammer's like, okay, now sit down and have some tossed salad and scrambled eggs while we're talking about these robots.
Good.
But yeah, I would say that the Transformers movies with Mark Wahlberg are probably better than Venom.
That's a
but
bold claim.
that's a very low bar to set.
Oh boy.
So
Wow, maybe I need to watch those now.
I got more out of the Transformers one. Like it had its issues, like with the dino robots. Like I don't understand what that subplot was. Like they brought in the whatever the dinosaur Transformers are. They brought them in at the end, and it's like, okay, this doesn't make much sense. So this is kind of like, oh hey, we need to sell toys,
Yeah.
but at least the rest of it was kind of cohesive, and I actually cared about the fact that Mark Wahlberg loved his daughter, whereas in this, I don't really care that Eddie Brock has a thing for his ex-fiance and is kind of just desperate.
Yeah, but like it didn't even seem like that like strong. Like he really even cared. He was just like, "This is the woman I know," and like that's it.
Yeah, because like even in their first scene, like it's just that she's waking him up, and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
That doesn't give me anything besides, oh, these two live together.
He has to feed the cat.
Yeah, and they have a cat.
They have a cat.
I feel more. I understand more of his relationship with the cat than I do with him and Michelle Williams.
Yeah, because like you kind of get more backstory on his relationship with the
Yeah.
cat later when he's like creeping outside the house.
And if you've noticed, I've been calling her Michelle Williams this whole time because I don't remember what her character name is.
Oh, was it Anne?
That's how.
It has to be like Anne or something.
Yeah. I don't know because it was just like, oh, I don't care enough about this relationship to actually know who she is because it's just like, oh, X. Like that's all it is. Like that's.
Well, the thing I didn't love is that like her character didn't have its own story arc outside of like helping Eddie Brock's character be a person. Like everything she did was in service of his character, and she didn't make any decisions on her own, and I hated that.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem.
Like it's not like a good like role model at all. Like it's not a good person for anyone to look up to. It's everything she does is in service of a guy, and I hate that.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
Because even in Spider-Man 3, like MJ has her own side thing going on,
Right.
and like it's not reliant on him at all. Like the only thing that's affected with him in her story is that their relationship is falling apart,
Right.
Because he's being a little dick.
Yeah.
Given the choice between the two, I'd probably want to watch Spider-Man 3 again.
Oh, me too. Absolutely.
But I will give Venom credit because they did get the look of Venom right, more so than Topher Grace.
Yeah, I can agree with that completely.
When they went with Venom, the few times that they did in this, like the full Venom suit, because it wasn't as much as they wanted it.
No, it really
to
wasn't.
be.
It was only a couple times.
It looked like Venom, minus the spider crest on his chest.
Which fine. I mean, it makes sense why
Yeah.
it wouldn't be there.
Exactly. But there were a few moments where he's still kind of web slung. Like, I'm going to shoot this string out, and then we're going to shoot up to the top of this building.
I thought that was cool though.
Yeah, it was cool without being too like, oh yeah, Spider-Man's a thing.
Exactly.
I don't even think bringing Spider-Man into this would have saved it.
No, it wouldn't have made sense.
So
honestly,
no. Speaking of Spider-Man, I watched the day after this. My wife had a bunch of friends over, and they decided to watch Spider-Man: Homecoming.
yes.
And I love that movie so much. Like I'd made a point to just watch the opening scene with Michael Keaton, and then the Marvel fanfare with the Spider-Man theme. It's just
It's really good.
It's probably my favorite Spider-Man score. So I just was able to listen to it in the other room.
Good.
It was great.
It's a good movie.
But have you been following any of the news on Spider-Man: Far From Home?
No, not at all.
Okay. So this movie comes out in July, so 2 months after Avengers 4.
Sure.
So spoilers for Infinity War if you haven't seen it yet. So going into Avengers 4, Spider-Man is dust. He's dead. And this movie comes out 2 months afterwards. I've said this before. I think I said this on Spider-Man 3 podcast, but I'll say it again because I really want to know how this is going to go down. If you're making a sequel to a movie where your character dies, but your character is back. How do you market that?
Right. Well, I heard,
How are you going? Like, is it just going to be the bad guy?
I mean, I
Like,
heard
is it just
somebody
gonna be
say
the
something
villain?
like, "Oh, well, it might not take place after," but it totally does.
Yeah, they've flat out said this takes place like 5 minutes after Avengers 4. So
I mean-
I don't know. Like, if it is it just gonna be Mysterio in the trailers? Like, is that all you're gonna show me? Is it just gonna be like a Quentin Beck trailer, like him and his stuff?
I don't
Do you know who's playing Mysterio?
know who.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Really?
Yeah,
That might be really cool.
yeah. I'm excited, and it seems like they're doing kind of like a Sinister Six thing, because Hydro Man's supposed to be in it.
Never. I don't know if I know that guy.
He was MJ's ex in the Spider-Man cartoon that turned into water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like Sandman, but wet.
Yeah, great.
But yeah, it might be like a Secret Warriors type thing where Nick Fury and Maria Hill are supposed to be in it, like taking over the Tony Stark role.
That's pretty cool, though.
So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with it.
But I mean,
I want to know how they market the movie.
yeah, I mean,
Like-
they really painted themselves into a corner.
It'll be interesting to see, because I don't see how. But Sony's in charge of it, so I can also see them just being like, "Oh, hey, Spider-Man,
Yeah, just like whatever.
Like, he's alive. He's alive again. Like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about that movie that came out 2 months ago. Like, we're just gonna spoil it.
I really
Like,
hope that's it.
Or they just save the trailer for the post credits of Avengers 4. Like, it's just that Spider-Man trailer.
That's a really
You've
long
wait-
time
you've-
to hold that trailer off, though.
It is. Like, the only way I can see you doing it is if it's just Aunt May, like, sitting in New York wondering where Peter is, or if it's just Mysterio, or it's just Ned. It's just his buddy Ned
I hope it is. Or
in a
Ned,
chair.
Or Ned becomes Spider-Man. That's what I want. That's what I want.
Yeah. Oh man. Or Miles Morales, maybe. I don't know.
I would be on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So overall, I think we can say that Venom is like a turd in the wind.
I completely agree. Absolutely.
We have not talked about the post-credit scene yet.
oh yeah.
So we'll end with this. So the post-credit scene is his interview with what's the character's name again? I always get it confused.
Oh, I can't remember.
Classius Cassidy?
That's it. I think it's that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he interviews the guy who becomes Carnage,
Mm-hmm.
the serial killer. As I had this spoiled for me going in, because this guy is credited 5th in the movie.
Oh,
So
is
I
he
looked
really?
at IMDb. Yeah.
Oh.
He's ridiculously high up on that list. IMDb has him listed 8th. He's 8th billed, right after the home. He's between the homeless woman and the Asian woman that riot takes over.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So Woody Harrelson as Carnage
I love it.
in the most ridiculous Ronald McDonald wig
my God,
I have
but I love
ever
it.
seen on film.
I want the backstory of the wig. Like, I want that
I-
to be the next movie.
Yeah. Like, I just want the wig to be the symbiote.
Yes. Yes.
Like, that would be amazing. Like, had this movie just been 2 symbiotes come to Earth, one is Venom, one is Carnage, I would have been a lot better with this.
That'd have been a
movie.
good movie.
Or if you establish earlier on that Carnage is out there,
Yeah.
like, it would have been cooler. But instead, you got 4 symbiotes, 2 die and don't do anything except kill Jenny Slate.
Oh yeah.
Because I keep forgetting that she's in this
Right, me
movie.
too. Parks and Rec crossover. Calling it.
Yeah. That would have made it a better movie.
Well, I mean, there's that scene where like he like ostensibly the bad guy ostensibly like chops everybody in half in that one room, but the chairs aren't chopped in half. Those are Swanson chairs.
Yeah. Have you watched The Good Place?
A little bit. I'm on the first episode of season 2.
Okay, so you know how Manny dies in the safe,
In the Swanson safe.
in the Swanson safe.
I love that.
Yeah, I need to watch the newest episode. It just gets better.
I love that show
for
so
the
much.
On you go. But anyway, I would love to see Woody Harrelson as Carnage. Like, I just want that to be the movie.
Absolutely.
Like, if that's a sequel and it's rated R, you might get my money again.
Oh, it definitely
Just
will.
because if there is an R-rated version, I might watch it before the sequel comes out.
No, I will.
But
If there is one, I'll watch it.
I'm tired of the, oh yeah, we have an R-rated version of this that's actually better than the one you saw in theaters.
Yeah.
Because that's what Batman v Superman did. And
Oh, did it?
yeah,
Was it good? I didn't even watch it.
it was a lot better. It gave you more of Clark Kent.
Good.
Like, it gave you what he was up to, so his side of the story makes a little bit more sense.
How much was he standing in the bathtub, though?
Not much.
Oh, I wanted more of that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Damn.
And I don't think you're going to get it because supposedly he's fired. I don't know. But
We'll see.
like that's a whole mess. Like, the Hollywood Reporter saying he's out, but he's like, yeah, no, I'm not.
That's super awkward.
It is. I feel bad for him because he wasn't a bad Superman. He was just in bad Superman movies.
Exactly.
And even Man of Steel is decent. Like, I like Man of Steel fine. It's just Justice League, he didn't have much to do, and they never gave him a chance. And they never really gave Ben Affleck's Batman a chance too. So if they recast him, like, I just feel bad for Ben Affleck all around because he just got out of rehab. So
Did he really?
yeah, there was a whole thing where Jennifer Garner, his ex, had to go over to his house and have an intervention. So there's like paparazzi video of her just going to his house holding a Bible. And then like at one point she came out and asked the paparazzi to leave and just give them some privacy in this hard moment.
Wow.
And then she brings him out of the house. I feel so dirty for watching this because it's so personal, but she brings him out of the house, like gets him in the backseat of her car, and then they stop at like In-N-Out.
Yes.
And then he's just like flipping. He's just like yelling and shit in the backseat of the car. Like, he doesn't want to go to rehab,
Oh, man.
but they take him to rehab. Like, it's so hard to watch, but
It's probably because he ate that double animal style. And he knew. He's like, that's all I can have.
I don't know what that is because I have not been to LA yet.
Get out here and eat it. It's delicious.
I'm planning on it. I was invited to a wedding out there, so
Oh, you were. Interesting.
yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna make it work. Like, it's going to happen.
Yes.
So
Good.
I may be coming by myself, but
No, it'd be sad.
yeah. But I think that's all I've got for Venom.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
We'll definitely have to have you back on the show.
Yes, definitely. I loved it.
Because Ryan, I mentioned to you, Ryan has never seen La La Land, and with you in LA, I'd love to have you on the show to talk about that.
I'd love to talk about that.
And how much you hate LA over how much this movie loves LA.
Right.
Because I don't think anyone can love LA more than this movie does.
It's literally impossible.
But yeah, so that's all I've got for today.
Yeah.
For You Have to Watch This Podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Devon.
And we'll see you next week, where Ryan is making me watch Hunt for Red October.
Ooh, solid movie.
So do you want to know on that one?
A lot of Sean Connery there.
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery.
It's just an excuse for me to do this voice the whole podcast.
Oh, God, I hope you do. That's amazing.
That's not what your mother said last night. All right. See you guys next week.
I have a parasite. Yeah. Name is Chen.